This McLaurin situation isn't getting any better. The Judkins situation is getting worse. We've got several things to talk about in regards to these two players. Jaden Blue is being called lazy, according to some reports by his team or people in the organization. We've got other news to cover, but first and foremost, the Commanders, it feels like Terry McLaurin slipping away from their kung fu grip. And part of this we'll discuss in a minute, relating to a wedding post that the Commanders made on social media where they celebrated everybody's wedding that took place this year and they leave McLaurin out. And some might say it's a small oversight, and they did celebrate McLaurin's wedding in a separate post back in February, so he did get his own social media post, but it doesn't matter because they're collectively pulling all the weddings that have happened over the whole year for the players, and they leave McLaurin off. Fans are irate. It's getting ugly, and McLaurin's clearly frustrated. And then we got to ask ourselves, how is this team, the Commanders, going to be in a better position getting rid of Terry McLaurin? Can it all be buttoned up and fixed real quickly? Sure. Quinshon Judkins will not be reporting with the other rookies to training camp. Obviously, he's not signed either. This is getting worse by the day. Whether you believe him to be innocent or not, that's not even really the question. The question is, what is the league going to do? How is this going to shape out? No matter what you believe about, the truth behind the situation, we got to adjust and adapt to it. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Let's start off with the Quinshon Judkins news. According to Mary Kay Cabot, who's been pretty much one of the lead, reporters, beat writer for the Browns on a lot of this stuff, says that he will not report Quinshon Judkins to camp, and that's known. He's also not likely, according to Cabot, to sign his contract anytime soon, or rather, the Browns are not looking to rush into signing Quinshon Judkins. And we've been on this from the beginning. We've pretty much been on point the whole way. The Browns have no incentive to sign a player that, they're not sure they want on the team yet. And again, innocent till proven guilty. But the way that this thing is shaping out right now, they're really worried. They've had Deshaun Watson situation. They've been at the forefront of domestic abuse and domestic violence and situations like that, stemming from launching off the Deshaun Watson fiasco and trying to change their image. And they're definitely not an organization, regardless of an organization being bad at trading, bad at offering contracts, bad at building a team. The poor fan base, the Cleveland Brown fan base, deserves better. Let me just start off there. I don't want Cleveland fans to think I'm attacking them or I'm saying that Cleveland sucks or anything like that. Cleveland's amazing. I feel bad for Cleveland fans. My Cleveland fans are always welcome here to vent if they need to. But this is a badly run organization on many, many levels. And I think most objective Browns fans will admit that. But one thing they're not in the business of right now is ruining the image they're trying to rebuild. And so regardless of whether he's innocent or guilty, they're literally pausing. They're literally tiptoeing around this situation because the last thing they want to do is be financially committed to a player that might cause them more long-term drama around domestic violence. Whether it's true or not, they're just going to tiptoe into this situation. Not to mention the commissioners probably, and this is guesswork on my part, but probably hovering over the situation and saying, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And Isaiah Bond, who was a top 4 to 5 receiver in my regard in terms of ranking, skill set, I thought Isaiah Bond was better than Matthew Golden walking all the way into the NFL draft, and I still believe that from a physical standpoint, a skill perspective. I believe that today. I believe Isaiah Bond is a better receiver than Matthew Golden. We may never know. This is something that we'll never be able to see unfold. I know Green Bay Packer fans going, You're crazy. We've got Matthew Golden. He's so good. Matthew Golden, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he doesn't develop, but he's not a first-round wide receiver prospect. One of the worst profiles for a first-round wide receiver. Coming from a team that, Green Bay, hasn't drafted a wide receiver in the first round in decades. So they clearly they're a little rusty at it. And they grabbed this kid who showed speed, and everybody fell in love with him, but he wasn't on a lot of radars until he showed his speed. And we've seen that time and time again. Ross and other receivers that have shown speed, only speed, and everybody falls in love with them as a talent. Henry Ruggs, the list goes on and on. The more likely, the faster the player, Worthy's the only good receiver that's ever come from a fast 40 time that's changed maybe the scope of his value and perception. And it's really the only success story we have, and that's still a story being told, Xavier Worthy. Every other story has ended in a bad, light. This guy's the fastest guy at the combine. He must be a great wide receiver. Doesn't work out. Back to Isaiah Bond. I'm sidetracking myself. Isaiah Bond is a good receiver, one of the better top 5-6 wide receivers in the draft class. He's unsigned. He didn't get drafted. He didn't get picked up. He still to this day doesn't have a home. He's one of the better wide receiver options out there on the market. He can't find a job. Why can't he find a job? Domestic violence claim against him. He's going through the same thing Judkins is going through, and the team won't touch him. Is that true? Or is the NFL maybe involved in this? Is the NFL maybe saying, don't do it? 32 teams, open up your Slack. I got a Slack message. This is confidential. You share this, I'm going to fine you, whatever. Nobody, who knows? This is speculation, total guesswork on my part. Call it a parody, call it whatever you want. This is just me telling you how I envision some of this going sometimes behind the scenes in the NFL. I don't know. It's my guess. It's my fairy tale of sorts. But I believe that if that talented wide receiver Isaiah Bond can't find a single team worth looking into this situation, a single team interested in bringing him in. Teams like the New England Patriots, who could definitely use a receiver. There are tons of teams that could use this kind of receiver. Buffalo, imagine Isaiah Bond, a receiver I have ranked better than Matthew Golden skill set wise, going to the Buffalo Bills. None of these teams are interested. This is probably going to be some sort of, hey, this is the commissioner. I'm not telling you what to do, but don't do it. Hold off. Why would the commissioner be interested in holding off? Because he doesn't want to slap down some sort of discipline too early, premature. Ray Rice, that situation. There's a lot of situations where the commissioner or the league has said, hey, we're going to give you this fine. It wasn't enough for the public. They had to go back and remedy the situation. Then if they go overboard on something, they're crossing the line with people that want to fight for innocent until proven guilty. So for Goodell in the league, the best course of action for them is to have the Browns taking care of this at the front end. And the front end is don't sign Quinshon Judkins. I'm not saying that he can't sign tomorrow or later today or right now he's signing his contract. But according to Mary Kay Cabot, who's also reported many different things on this topic, the Browns are in no rush, quote unquote, to sign Quinshon Judkins, according to Mary Kay Cabot. In no rush to sign him. And the Browns have instructed him, hey, you need to go make this domestic situation priority number one, not football. Meaning, this is not the time to play ball. He is not in any position right now to play football for the Cleveland Browns. Could that change? Maybe him going and taking care of it, getting everything as in order as he can, and then coming back to the team and saying, look, I've done everything I can. Everything's in line. This is what I'm doing. Now I just want to get back to the field. And they say, okay, sure, anything can happen. I can't control the change in direction and behavior of a group of people that are set to go one way and then decide out of nowhere to go another way. I can't control those things. But I can tell you, as of this moment right now, everything's pointing to, for right or wrong, innocent or guilty, whatever stance you're personally taking on this topic, I can tell you, as of right now, the Browns are going to tread so lightly. There's more risk that he doesn't play week one than he plays week one. There's a greater chance he misses week one, week two, week three. I'll even call it all the way up to week four. there's a greater chance he misses 4 weeks of football versus plays. And there's now a world where he doesn't play at all in 2025. Are we at the more likely chance he doesn't play at all in 2025 than he plays? I don't know if I'll go that far. I will say, kind of like I did the last time I prefaced this, I said, the moment one more bad piece of information comes out, I will tell you there's more of a chance he misses week 1 than plays week 1. What happened? Mary Kay Cabot came out and said the Browns are in no rush to sign him and that he has been instructed to go take care of this, not focus on football. That was all I needed. That was the one piece of news I said that I was waiting for that made me then come out and say my prediction is he's more likely to miss week 1 than to play week 1. If we get one more piece of bad information and not a single piece of good information has come in on the Quinshon Judkins side, we haven't heard them say this is a false accusation to some crazy degree. We're going to fight this in court. We haven't heard any of that. Isaiah Bond went straight for that approach and angle, and he still can't find a job. Isaiah Bond, right when it broke down, he said, I got to fight for what is my future. And he came out and verbalized it and said, I'm innocent. This is crazy. I want everybody to know how aggressively I'm going to attack this, and I'm going to counter this thing. And I want teams to know this isn't me. And teams still haven't signed Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond hasn't even really had any interest by anybody. So it's hard for me to imagine, just because draft capital was spent, especially when the Browns already drafted another running back in Dylan Sampson. And this is not an agenda for me. You guys know me long enough now that I will literally adjust and adapt on a dime. I'll pump up a player like Kenneth Walker during the season, and after he's leading the league in rushing touchdowns, remember this 2 years ago, or was it last year? I keep forgetting if it was last year or 2 years ago. My mind is everything's one season to me because I'm never stopping. It's 365. But it came out here and said, trade him. And people lost it. They're like, Smitty, wait a minute. You pumped up Walker all year. He's now leading the league in rushing touchdowns. Everything's going to plan. What are you talking about? I said, trade him. Trade him. Trade him. The volume's not there. The volume wasn't there. The next game, he had 100-plus rushing yards. It looked like, oh, Smitty's actually wrong. Don't trade him. And then it unraveled. This is a world we live in where adjust and adapt is the name of the game. You either get on that train or you don't. You can call things flip-flopping. I had people say, Smitty, I'm in a league where I can't trade at all. And you pumped up Kenneth Walker all year, and now you're saying to trade him. I'm so disappointed in you. I'm going to unsubscribe to you now because you didn't stick to your guns. The last thing, listen to me. Bring it in real closely and listen very carefully. The last thing I'm going to do is stick to a point I no longer believe in. The last thing I'm going to do is pump something up in the offseason, and if I sense it's not going to plan, continue to do it for Stevie Boy in his league where he can't trade anybody. That's the last thing. Go to another channel. I'm not for you. This channel's not for you if you think I'm going to stick to my guns on something when it changes, when the environment changes, the news changes, when anything changes, your boy's going to change his opinion. That's what this channel does. That's what we do. This is staying loose, staying liquid. That's how we roll on the channel. You can't handle that. This is not for you. Quinshon Judkins will adjust and adapt if new news comes out, but as of this moment, he's very risky to even draft in best ball. Underdog promo code Smitty will be drafting tonight. If you want to get in on a draft, make sure you click this link now. Underdog will match your first deposit 50% all the way up to $1,000. Hit that link and do it live. I'll pin it. You won't be able to get into the draft tonight if you don't sign up now. It's a $10 minimum. They'll match your first deposit 50% up to $1,000, but if you do the minimum of 10, they'll give you $5, so at $15. Do what you want with this information. There's no concrete anything right now. We have Mary Kay Cabot, who we're leading on crazy right now. Mary Kay, thank you for your service. Mary Kay's telling us what we can find out. Boots on the ground. All we can do is digest it. I don't break the news. I digest it. I tell you what I feel. I tell you what I think. We've been pretty damn accurate all off season. We've taken really one L, and it's not even an L. It's Rashee Rice getting his suspension this year instead of next year, which the whole world was on board with. So it's not like we missed that. But I'll take the L. I don't care. And even so, it's not even an L because the guy's still going to be a top 5 to 6 wide receiver per start. And let me tell you this on on this situation, there is still a small percentage. I'm not saying big. I'm not out here trying to say that this is 100% how it's going to go, but there's still a small chance that Rashee Rice gets fined. This is a class 3 misdemeanor, and 2 of them. And the call for action, according to the league policy, we read it last night, does not necessarily call for a suspension on a first offense. And we looked at Addison's, if it involves any alcohol or anything related to being impaired or intoxicated, it requires a certain level of attention in terms of suspension. If it's a second offense, like in Addison's case, it's a lot greater. Addison's going to get a much more stiffer penalty because this is alcohol, or it's substance related. It's also not his first time, and so Rice might end up being some sort of like crazy, everyone's arms up, this is the Chiefs, but I'm telling you right now why it might potentially happen, why he might get 1 game, why it could be a fine, and the whole world's gonna scramble and wonder why. And I'm just trying to prepare you that if something does go in that direction, they're going to blame it on the Chiefs, which I'm not saying there's an influence there, but this is a unique situation that may get something that people are unexpecting, is what I'm trying to say. Now, the odds is he's probably getting a 2 to 4 game suspension. So everybody should be preparing and planning for a 2 to 4 game suspension. But Rice can win you a league in round 5 with a 2 to 4 game suspension. Rice can be the wide receiver 5 or 6 or 7 this year per start, regardless of the suspension. And then the other note, a point that, a lot of you said this in the comments, and this is a very important thing to keep in mind, is unless you're playing in total point leagues, and even in best ball, you're covered because you have other players that step up. Like, think about it in best ball. You're throwing out, and you're not even deciding, it's optimal scoring. Ricky Pearsall goes out on week 1. Another player goes out on week 2. Another player goes out on week 3. And let's say he misses Rashee Rice misses 3 games. Then Rashee Rice, you lose, instead of getting 14, 16, and 15, you get 10, 9, and 13. Like, you're missing minuscule amount of points at the end of the day in a best ball. So Ray, keep calling Ray Rice. I'm sorry, Rashee Rice. Rashee, domestic violence it's all cloudy. It's all coming together into one. Look, Rashee Rice is this is one of those situations where if you score 15 less points over the course of 3 weeks because your replacement doesn't score as much as Rashee Rice, you're stealing him away in round 5. Rice is an absolute steal and league winner in round 5. Maybe he goes later, maybe he goes a little earlier, even late 4, steal. And in redraft normal leagues, is anybody playing total points? I love total points, by the way, but 90% of the world is playing a regular fantasy football format where you make the playoffs. The first place prize is a Super Bowl winner. This is a marathon. You might still win weeks 1, 2, lose week 3. You're 2 and 1, and now you've got Rashee Rice back. It doesn't matter at that point. You're 2 and 1. Who cares? He's back. He's back. So you got to understand, you might get through 3 weeks of football, be 2 and 1, and and the suspension served, and you're done. And now you got a top 6 wide receiver. That is a steal in round 5. Now let's move on to the Terry McLaurin situation, which is, honestly, this is really weird. And actually, hold on, let me show this. This is from, and I can't validate the realness and the authenticity of some of the photos these days. This coming from this account, I can't tell you that this is all over the place, but it could be spread all over the place. But this is a image, I believe it's an accurate one, of Judkins when he's facing the judge. This thing is just, it is disheartening. And I'm not trying to say that from a perspective of I don't believe the victim. And I'm not trying to say that it's going one way or another. It's just an unfortunate situation. And if this is something where the story is not accurate and Judkins is the victim here, and I'm not saying he is, he might have very well done what he did. it's just such a sad thing. And in Isaiah Bond's case as well, maybe he did do some of it, but the difference between Bond and Judkins, and this could be on the advice of who's in his corner, though, you know what I mean? But Isaiah Bond went straight for publicly denouncing the situation and saying, I wouldn't attack it this way if I was guilty. I'm telling you, NFL teams draft me. This is not what actually happened. This is all fabricated. And I'm not saying that because Judkins isn't doing that, his advice, the council might say, don't say a word. That might be, we're not worried about football, we're worried about your innocence, right now. And that this is more important than your image. I'm just saying that one side is defending like crazy. The other side, we're hearing crickets, and it doesn't help with the potential media exposure. So there's that over on the Judkins front of things. The Terry McLaurin thing is also a little disheartening because look at this Washington Commander post. It says a wholesome offseason. It's not saying a wholesome new edition of weddings that have happened since McLaurin's wedding. This is the Commanders wrapping up on social media all of the weddings that have taken place the entire offseason for the Commander players. And McLaurin's was in February. And they did put a post up dedicated just to McLaurin's wedding, to be fair, and they celebrated that. But at the same time, they're doing McLaurin dirty by re-referencing all weddings, what a wholesome offseason, and leaving McLaurin's wedding out now. And so you might say oversight, big deal, but this has been up for a while now. This has been up for multiple hours, essentially. And they haven't taken it down. They haven't addressed it. The backlash has been crazy. And this is a statement that I don't think they want out there in a situation where the fan base is getting irate because their number one wide receiver and their kind of ticket into probably a conference championship, they need McLaurin, is sitting out there saying, I'm frustrated. The team hasn't spoken to me about my contract in over 1 month. I want to stay. Let me make it abundantly clear, quote unquote, this coming from Terry McLaurin. Let me make it abundantly clear. I want to stay. I want to be in Washington. But now we're hearing rumors about New England being interested. I'm telling you that I can't envision how, even if they get a second round pick, which they probably won't, but even if they did get a second round pick, how in the hell does this help the Commanders in 2025? Now, granted, they brought in Debo. They did what they did last year with McLaurin and no Debo. Could they replicate and be even better a little bit here, a little bit there with just Debo and no McLaurin? And, Luke McCaffrey step up and Jalen Lane they drafted. And what if he's a world star that just needs the opportunity? I trust in Adam Peters greatly, but Adam Peters isn't entirely control of all of these variables, but he is kind of the man that is held responsible. So Adam Peters is the GM. So I will tell you that in general, I trust Adam Peters more than I would ever say I question him. But this is a wild scenario where McLaurin probably could be brought in to just put it to bed. He's exhausted from the situation. I bet you he'd fold a little bit on the numbers. And while he's 30 years old and we don't know all the details about what his asking price is, he could very well say, Garrett Wilson just got $90 million guaranteed. I want exactly that, or I'm not coming in. And then we're going to say, look, Terry, you're out of your mind. You're 30 years old. You're not a spring chicken. You're not getting anything close to Garrett Wilson's contract. But Garrett Wilson's contract did not help matters because Garrett Wilson's contract also moves the needle for everybody. For running backs, for quarterbacks, contracts move the needle. Everybody's guaranteed money across the industry. Even Watt, that money moves the needle for everybody because it's all a connected spider web. Now, when a offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a quarterback, a running back, or anybody signs a big contract that's above Terry McLaurin's even consideration, it still moves it less when it's a far separated position, but it moves it. The whole guaranteed market goes up a little bit here and there. So we don't really know what McLaurin's asking price is. It could be ridiculous. And if we heard both sides of the story, maybe we'd understand a little more of the Commander's frustration. But regardless, you got to keep a clear head And the social media team should have taken this down by now. The backlash is so big. There's no way the big wigs haven't heard about this. There's no way they haven't got a call and said, hey, look at this. Have you seen this? It's on their main social media Twitter account and probably other platforms as well. But this is wild for them to dismiss Scary Terry. He reportedly liked a comment that said this is disrespectful. So Scary Terry's watching this and isn't liking what he's seeing. And he's continuously feeling disrespected, and this is a little bit wild and out of character for the Commanders and the way that the Commanders are shaping this thing. But the fan base is leaving comments like this is very Dan, Schneider-esque or whatever. And this is, what are we doing here? This is not the way we've been, shaping this thing. Why are we disrespecting Scary Terry? Why are we not getting him in here? All the fans want is Scary Terry to be inked to a deal. And I believe you could very well sign him to a very upfront, team-friendly deal. Looks like a 3-year deal, treats like a 2-year deal, really even a 1-year deal with, a cap hit if they were to move on or something. But give him a lot of upfront money you're already going to probably give him. You guarantee more of it, but you give it to him up front and you move on. You get Scary Terry. I believe it will all get worked out at the end of the day. 80% chance, if I had to guess, it's all going to get worked out. But every day it moves forward. Luther Burden agreed to his rookie contract. All these rookies are now falling in. RJ Harvey got his deal done yesterday. That's fantastic. RJ Harvey to the mother freaking moon. Let's go. But this is kind of a concerning issue. We're going to have to monitor it. I would say 80% chance it works out, but I was at a 90% yesterday. And so this news knocks me down a good 10%. And then on top of that, it's like, what happens next could move it to 50, and do I think a trade is a responsible maneuver by the Commanders? No, it doesn't get them closer to a Super Bowl, which they're very close to, at least a Super Bowl appearance in 2025. They're right there. Debo's such a great addition, but I do want for JD5 Debo and McLaurin, not just Debo. Now, if McLaurin did end up not playing, and for the Commanders, if McLaurin was traded, let's say, to the New England Patriots, just in a fairy tale, setting, Debo would go up in value. He would go up in value. Zach Ertz would go up a little bit. Sinnott would go up a little bit. The pass catchers would go up. Jalen Lane, we'd have more interest in what his development's going to look like and how quick. And Luke McCaffrey would get another look, and the other Commander receivers would also get bumps. I'm not saying it's just those guys, but Debo Samuel would take a huge uptick in value. But I don't necessarily worry so much because I believe Debo is the kind of player that can only consume so much, and they'll probably try and get him a majority of that volume share anyway. So I'd rather just have McLaurin there because I think McLaurin can eat as well. This news right here does give Javonte a little bit of a bump, but I want to, caution people into taking this into too much into account because a lot of negativity of players comes out of Dallas. There's a lot of Dallas is really, really aggressively hard on players, like the Dallas community, the Dallas beat writer. There's always some sort of Dak Prescott that whole, can he win a Super Bowl? Like it's all Dak's fault. Like we hear constant, strangely weighted negativity toward players sometimes. So keep that with a grain of salt. Take this with a grain of salt. Speaking on a Locked On Cowboys podcast, former Cowboys coach Glenn Smith, former Cowboys coach Glenn Smith said, coaches, this is former coach. Like, is there an agenda? What's going on here? We don't really know. So let's take this really, really, tread lightly here. Said that coaches have expressed that Jaden Blue is borderline lazy and that the team is not thrilled with his work habits. This is not good, but I mean, I don't think that this situation is so bulletproof from the top down in terms of Javonte and his grip on the lineup. It gives Javonte a bump for sure. I don't know how much, but it certainly makes me want to draft a little more Javonte. But the moment Javonte's out of play, the moment Javonte doesn't, have as much success, like this guy's going to get a crack. I don't know why he would be lazy, walking into this situation. It sounds concerning. Like, how could you not be motivated for your fresh, beginning in the NFL? How could you not be trying to climb the ladder and bust your butt trying to get to the top? So I would love to know more details because it sounds so almost like fabricated, but Blue is a player that we love. So I'm keeping an open mind on this, not to have any bias creep in. I want more information, but I also know that no matter what, the pathway for him to get into the lineup is still one of the easiest ones in the National Football League. Now, Miles Sanders is still in the mix, sure, and that could end up being something that we see. I don't want to say like Chuba Hubbard, esque in terms of like, okay, who's Chuba Hubbard? Oh, damn, Chuba Hubbard's still there. And then Chuba Hubbard, like, is there a world? Ziggy, how old is Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders is 28 years old.
Yeah, I mean, 28, 29. Could he play 2 relevant years and then kind of like fade off? I mean, Mostert did it. So should we keep an open mind to Miles Sanders, who's been, looking ripped? Sure. But I doubt that he's taking over this backfield. If anybody takes it over and runs with it, it will be Jaden Blue. But I think right now it just gives Javonte a bump and we kind of monitor the situation. But not great news. I mean, you don't ever want to hear that about a player that you're excited about. So, it's interesting to think about Javonte's upside and what he came into the league with. One of the best tackle-breaking running backs to come out of college in a long, long time. He's got an insane ability to pull in a pass and look elusive, protect his quarterback. There's a lot to like about Javonte. Pulling in as many... Ziggy, how many receptions did Javonte Williams have in 2025? Or 2024? I can't see with Kruger. I can mess up and reword it. Kruger, how many receptions did Javonte Williams have in 2024?
Sure, you could say, hey, Kruger, can you tell me how...
No, Kruger. How many receptions... You just made me look bad. How many receptions did Javonte Williams pull in 2024?
In the 2024 season, Javonte Williams had 52 receptions for 346 yards.
So 52. I mean, I think that's accurate. Ziggy, how many receptions did Javonte Williams have in 2024? I just need to...
24 season, Javonte Williams had 52 receptions for 300.
Imagine them both being wrong. Imagine them both being wrong. There's been times where I've got a number from one of these guys and I've run with it for about 2 or 3 minutes and I'm like, wait a minute. That's not right. That can't be right. You idiot. You idiot. Hang gliding, dead. I mean, come on. So there's a world where Javonte still has it. We need to consider that for sure. Dial into the phone line to discuss McLaurin, Judkins, Rashee Rice, and the off chance that this suspension is either no suspension and a big fat fine, because Taylor Swift's like, don't do it, Goodell. I won't come to a single game. I'm halfway joking, halfway not. I don't think that's the reason, but this is not America's team. It's the commissioner's team. It's the league's team, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I read off the policy on the NFL's third-degree misdemeanor, and there is no call for suspension necessarily, whereas there is if there's impairment involved, and especially if there's multiple offenses of behavior. So just telling you, other people aren't going to tell you that. Everyone's going to say, he's getting suspended. And other people said, oh, he won't get suspended. Like, everyone's all over the place. I'm just telling you what the policy says. And there is a world where Rashee Rice doesn't endure what you think he's about to endure. There's a world where he does. It's a much more highly likely scenario that he gets a 2 to 4 game suspension. I'm not saying that that's not the case. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Yeah, Jaden Blue, it's a tough one. Again, what I'm telling people is not rooted in bias. I like Jaden Blue, but I'm not that connected to this situation. We've got plenty of midseason monsters that we can roll with. We don't have to sit here and go, oh, Jaden Blue doesn't work out. I'm an adjust and adapt monster. And so if Jaden Blue doesn't work out, which we took him off this board actually and put him on what, the Moon Man?
The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
Yeah, you know, maybe we move him back. That opens up a spot. And I'm not worried about if we don't land him as a Moon Man as long as he's a mid-season monster. But maybe we go back here, and that opens up a spot because we had, who were we missing? Who was the player that I said we had to add? So we'll put Blue back on the mid-season monster, which is a Moon Man. It like eventually becomes a Moon Man. That's what a mid-season monster is, an eventual Moon Man. We just can't predict it from the jump, but it makes sense to wait on Blue anyways because he's probably not starting week 1. But who was the player that we didn't have that we should have had? Was it? Let's see here.
The Jupiter men.
Was it
Jupiter
Achan?
is so large.
The Saturn men.
One small step. He's on a shuttle to Mars. The Moon Man,
I think it was Achan.
dropping loads in out. He's on a shuttle to Mars.
The Saturn men.
One small step for man, one
So taking off Blue,
for Saturn.
I'm not worried about the balance of the boards. I'm just trying not to add a player without removing a player. I think it was Achan. I mean, his value is so good that he deserves to be on here based on ADP. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things where we should be worried about, he's such a big name. These are all values. There's a reason they're on the board. You know, they're values. I mean, BTJ, I could see like not even having him on the board because he's going, at such a high cost, but I still think he's got potential to be like 7 or 6 overall like value. So going at 12 still feels that way. I mean, Achan could be top 5, 6 overall player in fantasy, and he's going sometimes in like the 14, 15, 16. So the value and upside and the ceiling for Achan's a lot higher. So like if someone had to move off, it would probably be not because we're doubting them, but just saying there's not a huge ADP advantage right now for this player, so they can come off the Moon Man list. But yeah, I think
The Saturn men.
Achan is
One small
he's a
step
staple
for man,
on the show.
One giant leap for Saturn.
He's a staple on the show, and the value's insane. The value's insane. He needs to be on there before we even get close to August 1, just to make sure that when people are in redraft mode, they understand that Achan, nothing has changed. It's rinse and repeat. It's top 5 to 6 running back material in round 2. That's probably one of the bigger smashes in fantasy in round 2. Achan should be on there, no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. Okay, dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Chase Brown is another one that, yeah, I mean, if we were to take someone off,
The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
I mean, Thornton could be a mid-season monster, not a Moon Man.
Space Monsters.
Brashard Smith might get more run in week 1 than people think, but he could be a mid-season monster. I don't want to take anybody off the boards. I don't mind moving someone to a mid-season monster, though. So, like, making room for Chase Brown.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars Man.
Not taking off. I mean, Laporta, I like Laporta, but,
dropping and spinning.
this should be Evan
aimlessly
Ingram,
in
not
space.
Laporta. I'm sorry, I'm making the switch now. I like Laporta, I really do, but I don't know that the value is, like, appropriate. And I don't just want to put him on there because I like him. I want to put someone on there that's going to win a league. And Evan Ingram can win a league. So he deserves to be on, the Mars. If not the Mars Man list, I'll put him on the Moon Man list. So let's move him over to the Moon Man list.
The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
And this is a league winner. You got 2 tight ends. Finally got 2 tight ends on the Moon Man list. Well, I mean, Laporta was on the other list, but 2 tight ends on the Moon Man list together makes sense. This is like these are a little bit more shots in the dark, but yeah, I guess, guys, if we're moving somebody from this list and it's not a complete disrespectful move, to put one of these guys on the midseason monster list because it's saying that they're going to be an eventual Moon Man. Is it Brashard Smith or Thornton? I kind of feel like Thornton's going to take a little more time. So let's move Thornton off this list over to the midseason monster list and put potentially Chase Brown on the Mars men. So this is a little surgery we're doing here. Midseason monster. I kind of want to take a player off of this because this is getting too crowded. No, I don't want to. I can't. Who are we going to take off? It's so crowded. This is such a crowded board. We could. I don't want to take off Tootin and Bigsby. I definitely don't want to take off Sharps. I definitely don't want to take off Brashard Smith. Brashard Smith is on the midseason monsters and the Moon Man list. But now if we go back to the Moon Man list.
Dropping loads in outer space.
Go to the Mars.
Shuttle to Mars. Mars men.
Now we can put on Chase Brown here, and I feel complete.
Dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
I feel complete now. This feels good. This feels like we're now at peace. We're now balanced. We now have our aura back. So there we go, because the value is still really good for Chase Brown too. So let me review in total. Jupiter Man.
The Jupiter men.
Looks
Jupiter
good.
Is so
solid.
Every planet in the solar
you can literally
system
draft a team full of these guys.
Monsters than the Jupiter men.
Moon men are hard to draft on all on one team, but you can literally draft a team with just these guys on it.
The Saturn men.
One small step for
Still,
man,
you could do that.
Giant leap for
Good looking
Saturn.
group. Look at this group.
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
Strong.
Mars men.
Strong group still. Very strong.
The Moon men. Dropping loads in outer
A little
space.
bit more, risky plays, but still very, very awesome candidates to be what we're predicting them to be. So this is a really, I feel really good about the Moon Men, Mars Men, Saturn Men. Mid-season monsters, it's a little alarming how many we have, but is that okay? I think it's better to have a lot than a little. These are options for everybody, and there's no guarantees with the mid-season monsters because they've got obstacles. You know what I mean? Obstacles are the reason why they're mid-season monsters and not locks for week one. So it kind of makes sense. I'm fine with it. Dial in. Whoops.
Live from the Fantasy Football Show.
Dial in. Take off Kroski Merritt. You take off Kroski Merritt. Why don't you keep hating? Whatever, Lil, whatever I don't even know how to say your name, bro. But you're constantly negative. Mason is a monster. But where were you with your other Chase? What was the other comment? The negative comment you had. Where is it at? Where's your comment? I forget where it was. Ingram is the definition of mid. Why? Why is that? How is Ingram the definition of mid? Come on, bro. Smart up. Mason is definitely a potential Moon Man. Check the phone line. You called in twice. All right. I'll give you a little leeway on that one. All right, dial in. Let's see if the phone line works. Go. Someone said they called in twice. I do see the missed call. Why is it not showing? Okay, let me close it and open it again. Hold on. Stupid phone line. All right, try now.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I got literally 8 missed calls in the last 3 minutes sitting right there, but none of it rang for me. There it is. Okay, I restarted it. It works. There we go. All right, let me merge these calls in. Go ahead, Big T, you're live. Big T, you're live. Big T? All right, hold on. Let me check something. I may have a phone line issue, but I think I could solve it. Let's go to the speaker. Hold on a second, Big T. Wait right there. All right, Big T, I can hear you now. Go ahead. You're live.
So I feel likely on move. I wanted to know your opinion on Mark Andrews and the off last season, a bunch of touchdowns, and I feel likely and
Mute yourself real quick, Ron. I hear a little background reverb there. But go ahead. What did you just say, Big T? Likely and what? Just what I think of Andrews.
Andrews finished off his season with Lamar Jackson catching a bunch of touchdowns. Yeah. It wasn't a great ending in the playoffs. He was very productive. And then likely what you think his projection going into next season.
Yeah, well, the staff has said nice things about likely before, and then it doesn't necessarily play out. So I get the apprehension people might have. But at the same time, I've always loved his talent. I've always thought likely could be a top 5 to 6, 7 tight end in the league. And the fact that his staff is saying they want to make him a Pro Bowl All-Pro this year, that's awesome to hear. And I think Andrews is clearly dropping off. He was a benefactor of a lot of touchdown grabs, but I'm not saying that Andrews is trash. I love drafting both of them in best ball because you can get both of them not back to back, but really close together. But it's still very, very deep in a draft that it's almost like you're drafting. It's almost like you're drafting 2 players that are not necessarily backups, but borderline. And so you grab both of them without having to really address the tight end position till later, and you have a fantastic best ball mania combo. And then you grab one other tight end to rotate, make sure it's different bye week, and you're good. Like let's say you got a Kraft or you got a Theo Johnson or something just to go with it, and you'll be fine. If I had to pick a non-best ball, one of them I'm drafting likely at cost. He's a little cheaper. And then I'm just letting Andrews go. Unless I can find the same kind of value and I don't love the options that are available. Because best player available has had me draft Andrews more than I've ever expected this year. But then when I do that, I'm fully intending to grab likely. I think I probably have 1 or a couple shares of Andrews alone, but because I got sniped on likely. And I'm pissed off about it. And then I regret drafting Andrews without likely. So that should tell you where I feel about how I feel about likely on the year. I just think there's probably some good times and some bad times that will happen, but he's getting older, but the combo is fantastic. But I project likely to be one of the bigger steals in fantasy, clearly by being on the Moon Man list.
The Moon Man.
He's got tons of upside this year.
In outer space.
And again, we've heard it before, but I believe it this year. I think there's a real strong shot that likely, I don't want to say wins leagues, but winning leagues is kind of a tough thing to say about him, but I think he's really, really close to being one of those positional pieces that gives you such an advantage to build at other parts of the draft that maybe it is league winning to a degree of separation. You're able to get likely later, Andrews later in best ball, and you can focus on grabbing some sort of league winner where other people are grabbing tight ends.
Yeah, and especially the thing I lean on the most is it's the Todd Monken-led offense, and the way he schemed up Brock Bowers at Georgia. I fully expect Isaiah likely to hopefully play that role at least. That Ravens offense is going to funnel through their tight ends a lot. That's why I'm off on Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a great real life wide receiver, but from a fantasy perspective, I'm out on Zay Flowers because that offense doesn't run through wide receivers the way other teams. So on their tight end.
Lamar doesn't make top 20 wide receivers. So yeah, it's definitely the position of probably likelihood of impressing and over delivering is the tight end room. Yeah. All right, hang tight real quick. Mute yourself. Let me swing back around in a second if you got another question. Let me go over to Ron Navy, then over to Travis, then over to TJ, then over to Bruce. Go ahead, Ron Navy. You're live.
What's up, Smitty? Hey, guys.
What's up?
Thornton, you think he needs more development? He's working with the first already.
Who?
He's ahead of schedule.
Who?
Thornton.
Oh, Thornton? No,
he's working with the first.
Not necessarily. Well, we don't know what's going to happen when they hit the field. Like, he's been working with the first team. It doesn't mean he's going to start. But this is a guy that has the potential to win a league, and it might come mid-season. It might not. But I think that's pretty awesome to have him on the mid-season monster list. You know, as a eventual Moon Man. I don't think it's disrespectful. I'll be honest. Like, I'm torn on taking him off the Moon Man on the mid-season. I'll give it some thought. Because I do want to have him on record as being on the Moon Man list. I agree. Like part of me is torn on it. But I'm trying to make room without just making the list like 75 players deep. You know, I'm trying to be responsible with it. Right. But we'll see. I might move him back. I think the moment we hear something like, okay, yeah, he's been running with the first team, but again, it doesn't mean he's going to be the team's number 2. He may be the team's number 3. Are they going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets? Like, how's that going to look? But I think that, you know, if we hear some sort of buzz again, I think we just transfer him right back over. I don't think it's a big deal. We're still in June. You know, like, not everything should be ironed out yet. You know, being on the Moon Man list. I'm sorry, July. Not everybody has to be on the Mars Man list, you know, May 1st in order to qualify as a league winner. Like, I think August 1, when people are getting ready to draft and they're preparing, that's when I really feel like the responsibility is there to have these guys on the list ahead of time, and I'm not trying to move them around much. I'll definitely add somebody with news hits. I'm adjusting to that monster. That's my nature. But I do think like August 1 is when I need to feel like, okay, we're feeling really damn good about everything. I don't want to move people around too much. But yeah, Thornton's an exciting player. Let's see what he looks like back on the Moon Man list. Let's just hold on. Let's just move him real quickly. This is crowded over here. Let's see. Does it look too crowded? The Moon Man list doesn't look too crowded.
Dropping loads.
I mean, if I put him on it, it doesn't look too crowded. But I just have the other list so jam packed. But at the end of the day, I mean, is anybody going to complain because we have another? You know, we have too many sleepers. I mean, there's still so much opportunity for other players to do well. It's not like we're calling everybody out. I don't know. We'll see. I'll put him on there for now, Ron. He's back on the Moon Man list for now. Let's just see how it feels. You know, looking at the Mars isn't that crowded at all. We got freaking 5 guys on it. The Moon Man is not that crowded. We got 6 guys on it.
The Saturn Man.
Saturn's got 8 guys on it.
The Jupiter Men. Jupiter is so large.
Loaded, but that's right.
Every planet in the solar system.
I think we're all right. I think right now we're all right. I think I could handle that many players on the list, but I believe we should probably bump someone off if we do add somebody else. I'd like to try to show some accountability here. All right, Ron, what else you got?
I know. I think you've talked about this already, but
Jonathan, you here?
Have you noticed Samson's ADP rising?
Oh, Samson, yeah. Samson, you talking about this Samson right here? You talking about mid-season? I know, I'm just joking. I'm just rhetorical. Mid-season monster Samson. Yeah, he's climbing to like what? Where are you seeing him? Like 13? Jonathan and Realist, I'll get to your questions here. I'm so sorry for the delay. Jonathan, you're still here, right? Realist, you're still here? Sorry about the delay. Where have you seen him go, Ron? Where's Dylan Sampson climbing to? I've seen him in 13, 14, but that's not that crazy. That's really good value.
I've seen him go as early as 11.
Really?
Yeah. After the news that Jenkins domestic violence, people just swapped out and started drafting him instead of.
I mean, we knew. I've seen him go to 13, 12, 14. Has anybody seen Sampson go higher than 12? So like 11? Jonathan,
I did a mock yesterday, and he went in 10.
10.
Yeah, he's climbing.
You know, where's my line in the sand for him? I would say nowhere near. I mean, we're still fine. I still think 10th, like let's say 10th round was his ADP. I'm fine with that. You're talking about double-digit round. This is a guy that this channel's been on from the beginning of, before January. So very, very okay with this value.
The thing was, Sampson went in 10th, and then Ford went in the 11th.
Joe said no question. Smith is on both lists. I know I have Brashard Smith on both lists. You're correct. I have to decide which one to take him off. I don't necessarily need to take him off. We've had players live on both lists before. Let's see. Is there anybody else on both lists? I don't think so, right? Ray Davis got taken. Yeah, I guess we could. Brashard Smith could be. If we were to take off Brashard Smith from the Moon Man list and just keep him on the mid-season monster list, it does make a lot of sense from the perspective of he's probably not starting week 1, but they have talked about him getting involved in the receiving game right away. So I don't know. We'll go back and forth on that one, I think. So that helps us clear one up if we did want to leave, Brashard Smith on the mid-season monster list only, which again is a Moon Man. It's just a Moon Man that isn't evolved yet. And then Jonathan here says Dynasty Superflex Mahomes, CJ, Kyron, Corum, Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, Garendo, JJ Puka, MHJ Coleman, Jawan, Kirk, McBride. Trade Puka for Genty, then flip Kyron for Rice. Wow. I definitely Puka for Genty for sure. I'm sure you're giving up more than that. I highly doubt you're doing that straight up. But even if it's something small, I already Smitty approve it. I give you full autonomy to go make that move. But Kyron for Rice, I think I probably would try and get more because of the current situation and climate, but I don't mind what you're trying to do there. And I believe Rice is still, look, Rice, a week ago, Rice, knowing he would be suspended in 2026, we all said he was a top 5 to 7 dynasty wide receiver and top 5 to 7 redraft. Just because his suspension is coming this year, his dynasty value is unaffected. So we can't let, just like when Saquon Barkley tore his ACL, the man dropped out of everyone's top 12 running backs for dynasty. Immediately. Everyone was like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. No, he's okay. I don't like it. Jackie, tell him. I truly think that I would probably do those deals. I love Kyron. I love him. Not saying you even need to do this, but with that build, having Mahomes, Genty, Brees Hall still, JJ, MHJ. It's a really good balanced team. McBride, I like that. But try and get more, because I believe Rice's value right now is in flux. I think you can really get, somebody's freaking out, right? They're trying to trade him, especially if he came to you and he's trying to get rid of Rice. You can get a lot more. So don't let him take advantage of you when the market is probably screaming that you should be getting more. Sorry, Bruce, what was the last thing you said? Did you ask me a question?
No. I said that Sampson went in the 10th and Ford went in 11th.
Yeah.
Then they were talking about Sampson's value going up.
Sampson should be moved. What do you mean by that? I don't know what that means. Sampson should be moved, like, to the Moon Man list, you mean? Maybe. For sure. Mason, maybe. We just can't we don't have room for everybody, so I'm trying to make sure we don't pile the lists up. All right, let me go around the phone line real quickly. Mute yourself real quickly if you don't mind, Brucey. Travis, then over to TJ. Travis, go ahead. You're live.
And you would have Debo going up in value. I'd be a little worried I'm not saying it can't be good. A piece of that whole with Terry McLaurin there. We've never seen Debo the only one.
Well, I don't know if you heard what I exactly said on it, though. I was saying that his value goes up, like his perceived value. But what I then said after that was that, however, in my opinion, he's going to get enough work in a McLaurin offense as well that he doesn't necessarily need that. And, he's going to have so much design plays and stuff for him that I don't think it doesn't have to change the volume. Like, I don't think his volume goes down. I think they lean on him more, obviously, but I don't know that he scores more fantasy points. His value does certainly go up, like in the fantasy space. But yeah, I don't want it either.
Like, going to be drafting him.
I'd still be smashing Debo 80. Well, it depends where his ADP goes, but I still would be plenty happy with all my Debo Samuel shares, which is like 60% underdog. I have Debo, or like 55 or something like that. So I'd be very, very, very happy. But I will say, I think that it is probably more efficient work for a Debo with McLaurin there. And again, like I said, JD5 is going to take such a big step forward in yards and touchdowns that this is all accounted for. And that's why I'm okay with Debo being more efficient with maybe a tiny bit less work and maybe scoring more fantasy points and staying healthy. But I'm not running away from Debo if he's the number one wide receiver for JD5. This is kind of like the double-edged sword, and it's kind of the Montgomery and Gibbs scenario. We all, no one's wishing ill will upon someone. No one's celebrating injury. We all want Monty to stay healthy. We want him to be healthy on another team sometimes, but just so I don't hear the mere complaining. But at the end of the day, Monty serves a purpose. And even though we all do standing ovations when Gibbs is the lone starter for weeks 10 through 17, and we're like, Monty's out, and we all stand up and we're like, Gibbs season. Like, we want that for certain portions of the year, no doubt, because it's nice to have a little injection and carries, whatever. But it doesn't matter. Like, Gibbs will get his, they'll rotate it, or like eventually Gibbs gets more work as the season moves on, whether Monty's injured or not. But it is a double-edged sword. Monty serves a purpose. Having Debo alone would make everybody stand up and cheer, but is it better long-term to have the distraction of Terry McLaurin stretching the field and Debo just knifing straight across on a 5-yard slant, getting the ball, catching at the line of scrimmage, and having McLaurin pulling the defense back? At the end of the day, as much as we would relish the idea of Debo being one, as much as we relish the idea of Gibbs being one, I think for health and keeping the player healthy and all that, it's better to have more options on the field when the offense is potent enough to handle it. The Commanders are going to have an uptick in yards and touchdowns coming from JD5. They can afford to have Debo. And for anybody that thinks Debo's taking away everything from McLaurin, I think McLaurin has a regression in touchdowns, but not that much. But you got to remember that Debo's taking the other player that was starting in his place. He's taking their targets, their yards, their touchdowns, and then adding not that many more. It's not like those aren't allocated over to Debo, so everybody acts like it's all of it. All of Debo's shares now have to come from McLaurin. It's not the case. He's filling a void on the team and then needs a little bit more excess, which a lot of it will be design stuff. Maybe the running game takes more of a hit than McLaurin by the presence of Debo, not because they're going to run him as a running back, but because they're going to make some of their short passing game part of their run mindset and attack. Because Debo's a wide back. Throw the ball to him out wide, and he's not going up against linebackers. He's going up against defensive backs most times as a wide receiver, just getting the ball at the line of scrimmage, hence wide back. Not more injury risk for those that keep saying that. But you're not wrong, Travis. There's pros and cons, just like when Monty goes down, there's pros and cons for Gibbs.
Yeah, he comes from that whole environment of you talk about so many guys on the team where some of it
You know, I know Debo is an elite talent. He's a little bit older and wonder, you know, he's never truly been like the only piece, an elite piece in an offense like that. And in Washington, I think it stands right now, you know, if Terry McLaurin's gone, there's B-Rob, and then there's Debo and the rest of the receivers. You know, until J.C. Emmons better, or until one of the guys they drafted steps up.
I mean, in 2021, Debo was one of the best receivers in the league, and he was the focal point of the Niners offense. And so, like, I think Debo could step in and, you know, this team was so good. They were Super Bowl contending with a rookie QB that was still learning with only McLaurin, and now they have Debo and McLaurin. And if, let's say, McLaurin was gone, I mean, in my opinion, it's the same situation receiver-wise that they had last year. But now they got Jalen Lane, maybe. So I think they would be fine, and I think Debo could do what McLaurin did, just different balance of workload. But I don't think, like, I wouldn't run. My answer is this: I would not run away from Debo. I still would love all the shares I have. It would come down to where his new ADP landed. If it was the 4th or 5th round, then we'd have to have a conversation about that, which I'm not saying I'd be fully out on, but it would be different. It'd be a different, you know, it'd suck. But he's still capable. If McLaurin were gone, or if, let's say McLaurin got hurt in week 4 and he's out for the year, knock on wood, Debo would, you know, thrive. But you add a little bit of injury risk, you add a little bit of, you know, a little bit more defensive attention. You add a little bit more, like, is he going to play out of his natural position or, you know, route tree? You know, how does it all affect it? Does he become less efficient? You know, sometimes getting more work, like Achane was better with Mostert going off up the gut than he really ever was getting all the work up the gut himself, you know. So it's just a double-edged sword, if you will. But I'm not scared of Debo. I'm not running away from Debo. He just probably has more injury risk if he's the only wide receiver.
Washington is stupid. They're not going to make a deal. If they let McLaurin go, then I don't think they make a deep run this year. I think they need both Debo and McLaurin. It
would be definitely stupid of them to walk away from the situation and get draft capital. Why, when you can win now? Like, this team, so many people outside of this channel thought that the Commanders were years away. You know, oh, they're going to build around this kid. They'll be there soon. They're there now. The Commanders could win the Super Bowl now. There's no benefit to going and getting a 2nd round pick. The only thing I can think of, like, if I was to, let's say you told me, Smitty, you're now taking Adam Peters' job. He got abducted safely by aliens. He'll be returned in a calendar year. You're interim GM. And he already pressed, the aliens sat on the button and sent McLaurin for a 2nd rounder. We didn't mean for it to happen, but here you go, fix it. The only way I would fix it is I'd go get Keenan Allen. Because I think that Keenan Allen, while he's not McLaurin, Keenan Allen and Debo is way better than, in my opinion, than what they just had last year. So I think they're in an advantageous position. Is McLaurin and Debo better than Keenan Allen and Debo? Yes. But is Keenan Allen, and even Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen and Debo, and I don't want that for Debo. That's a different fantasy conversation, but I'm saying, you tell me as a GM to fix this, I could go get Keenan Allen or Cooper or both, and we would be just fine. We would be Super Bowl contenders. But McLaurin, it makes no sense at all. Unless you're going after Keenan Allen, and that's a foregone conclusion in Adam Peters' mind, and you set it up, and then you get what you want out of McLaurin, and you're just constantly trying to stay 4 moves ahead at the risk of maybe souring the now. But I believe in Adam Peters' vision. But I do think that if I was in charge, I would not let this go any further. You got to sign him, give him a lot of upfront money, guarantee a lot of it. You don't have to go necessarily far and above what he's getting paid now. Just make sure you pull a lot of it up front, pay him a little bit more, wet his beak, make him feel special, and stop doing crap like this on social media and leaving it up. Just leaving it up for hours. You can't tell me they don't know that this is up. This is up right now. All the weddings for the year, and McLaurin's not on it. It's stupidity. So I don't know why. The Commanders have been nearly flawless since the takeover there and the new regime. And then this feels like it's being mishandled, and the fan base is letting them know that it's being mishandled. So they're definitely not in the right now. Let me answer this question real quick.
Here's the thing on that.
Hold on one second, Bruce. Let me just answer this real quick. Best fantasy football content out there. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate you. Thoughts on Giants rookie tight end trending up. I don't know. I'm not super high on any Giants players other than the obvious. But I would say that when it comes to the Giants, Theo Johnson's probably got his role cemented in, I would imagine. So I'm not too sure that we're going to see much anyway in terms of consistency. But I would say like Theo seems pretty solid. And he's a big boy, and there's big expectations for Theo over in New York. There's a lot of expectations. People are very excited about him. He's still a young kid. He's 24. I can't imagine that Theo's not the one that's going to be the benefactor in the tight end room. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do kind of like him to a degree, fantasy-wise. But I'm not a big Giant drafter right now, other than Neighbors, other than the obvious. Tyrone Tracy's interesting, but not a lot of shares of it. I just can't. The guy fumbled his job away last year. I'm not saying he can't recover from that, but it was pretty bad. There was a handful of games in a row, but he's an ultra-talented player. Cam Scattaboo, I'm taking him as well. So him and Neighbors, but I'm not touching the quarterbacks. I'm not touching the other wide receivers. I probably would stay away from Theo Johnson, but I am monitoring the situation, and I might jump on that value late in like a best ball as a third tight end option. But like I'm not excited about this team playing from behind and just only throwing to Neighbors is all I'm concerned about. Play from behind, throw to Neighbors. I like that, but rotational quarterback situation. How's it going to look? Moon balls getting tossed around like you're at a space convention. I don't know. All right, go ahead, Bruce. What was your question?
No. What I was going to say is we bring up McLaurin, and I knew a couple players that played in the NFL because, my buddy and his cousin played. And he says there's only two things that they go for in the league, the players, rings or money. Now, this could actually, or not Devo, McLaurin. He said, so this can actually be on McLaurin saying, I don't care about a ring. I want to get paid, and I want to get paid like a top 5.
I think it's certainly somewhere in between that, he's older. Like, let me tell you what it is. Okay. The psychology behind this situation, Bruce, is this. He's a good guy. He's a really humble guy, and he's a very simple guy. And he's made it very abundantly clear he doesn't need to be paid like the top wide receiver in the league, but he wants to get paid because he's been sitting there waiting for a quarterback his entire career. One finally comes along, and look how good McLaurin is. He knows he's this good. We knew he was this good. We told everyone that DJ Moore would explode with Fields. We told everybody that same recipe would unfold with JD5 and McLaurin. He's been sitting there, handcuffed, totally diluted, unable to reach full capacity, just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. His whole career just getting burned away. And he's got a small window of time left, a 2-3 year window. JD5 comes in, turns him into a superstar, or he helps JD5 become a superstar. And that's how he feels. He wants to get paid. He knows he's missed his window. He's a reasonable guy, I think. And he says, you just got to help me wet my beak. I've been sitting here wasting away, and I have this small window of time. Give me some damn money. And that's all he wants. But he has come out, Bruce, and said that he wants to make it abundantly clear that he wants to stay in Washington. And I believe he is chasing a ring and money at the same time. He's not all about money. McLaurin is not. He's a good dude, and I think he's getting done dirty, to be honest. And I don't think the Commanders are a business, too. You got to understand that, and I'm not necessarily right. And JD5 has voiced his opinion, Vader. He has very much, and McLaurin even said that he's on his side. But JD5 is also trying to, he's got to let his employer handle their business, too. And as much as I want to say he's getting done dirty, a lot of the reasons are these little side things that are happening, like this wedding post, the fact that they haven't talked to him in 1 month. Like, those things are stupid. Now, the fact that the team wants to be smart with their money, and they say, look, Scary Terry, it's not our problem you wasted away here all the time. We took over. Now we're here. And what am I supposed to do? Make a 49er decision and offer you, CMC getting paid the top running back money right when he's about to crash? Paying George Kittle the way they paid George Kittle when he could potentially break at any moment. Like, is that what I'm supposed to do out of loyalty for you and a regime that we had nothing to do with for the majority of it? So I understand where the Commanders are coming from, but I believe there's a happy medium, and they're negotiating to get there. But the only two things I completely disagree with is if it's true that he hasn't heard from them in a month, and maybe he said something that triggered them to say, look, we gave you our offer, you come to us when you're ready. We don't really fully know, but I think this wedding thing is garbage, and I think the fan base is pissed about it, and they should be. Like, this is an oversight, and the fact that they're leaving it up there for multiple hours, it probably still is up there. This is just stupidity. You're just fueling the fire by celebrating everybody but McLaurin, and McLaurin's I mean, you got to know this has got to be out there. You have to, as the GM, as the owner, as whatever, the owners, you have to have heard that McLaurin's already liked one of the posts that said this is completely disrespectful. Maybe they called him and said, we're not going to take it down because, there's a lot of other positivity in that post. But maybe we find out. They call him and say, our social media team, we talked to him. That was totally uncalled for. We'll put another post up later today. Like, maybe it all gets fixed. We don't fully know. But right now, I feel like the Commanders are not handling it the best. But I understand the business side, and I don't think McLaurin's money and or ring chasing. I think he just wants to do the right thing, win games, play football, be respected. I think that's what it is. But he is 30 years old. He's got to come to some terms. If he is commanding Garrett Wilson money, he's out of his mind.
That's probably what it is. He wants to get, like, either Garrett Wilson money or Ayuk money. And look what happened to the 49ers.
I mean, you could give him elite money, top 5 to 7 wide receiver money for 1 year. I could get behind that, but that's where his guaranteed upfront money will be packaged in a way where it's like McLaurin signs it's not going to be $90 million guaranteed. You can't do that. That's what Garrett Wilson got. Garrett Wilson's a spring chicken. This man is not. But if you say something along the lines of, okay, well, Ayuk's getting 30 and he's trash, you're going to get more. Godwin is injured and older, and he could have got 28, 29, $30 million from the Patriots. So you at least got to pay Scary Terry 32, 33, 31, at least 30. If you want to lowball the man, it's got to be 30. And you got to give it to him on a 2-year deal, or 3-year deal that's really 2 years. So $65, $70 million, 3-year deal where he's getting not only one of those years fully guaranteed the money, he's got to get like a year and a half of it guaranteed. You can't not pay him $30 million per year, even if you structure it to be what looks like a 3-year deal, but it's really a 2-year team-friendly deal. He deserves $33 million a year. He does. For right now, not for the long term, but for 2025. And maybe he deserves 34, 35. But because you're going to put it in a long-term deal that's 2 to 3 years, a semi-long-term deal, maybe you're knocking it down to 33 and guaranteeing, 2/3 of the money or something.
Okay.
But he deserves to get paid well over there.
On your right, though.
Yeah.
My question was, what if, like, we're 99.9% sure he's going to get either fines or at least suspended this year. But what if the suspension doesn't happen until 2026?
Well, that's what I've already said, is that there's a chance, not a great chance, but there's a chance that there's no suspension. And I'm not saying it's a great chance, but this came from the Washington Post as well. But I've also read through the policy. I went through the policy last night on the live show and read through the 3rd-degree misdemeanor policy for the NFL, and it does not call for a mandatory suspension for first-time offense. It doesn't. So as much as we believe they will suspend him, and I do, and no, they're not going to suspend him necessarily next year. If he gets a suspension, it will be expedited this year. But there's a world where on a first offense, on a third degree misdemeanor, two of them might make it to where they do something though. They say, look, there's two of them. There's a chance he doesn't get this. There's a chance. Am I calling it a 5% chance? Okay, sure. But there's a chance that the world is not prepared for the underwhelming reaction of the NFL on this situation. Addison is a multiple offender, and it was DUI related. And under the policy on a third degree misdemeanor so if we were to use the same degree with a DUI involved, it's a mandatory suspension. So if anybody wants to pretend that Addison's is not worse, to the letter of the NFL law, it is. It's written. So Rice probably gets a 2 to 4 game, but it's not a guarantee. And I don't think anybody's talking about it. Everyone's just saying draft him around 5-6, and I mean,
he's just not going to sign at all. Or you think they're going to be like, look, don't sign him for the first 4 games, and then that'll be a suspension?
So domestic is so different, and the truth is, it could go different ways. If the optics are horrible, then you could see him playing and then them making a decision later. But it's one of those scenarios, bro, where this is a 6-game, I believe, minimum we read last night, suspension for domestic violence. With the scenario that we know it to be, at least we think it to be, that looks like a 6 to 8. But they're not going to hand down the suspension yet necessarily, because there's no for sure ruling or conclusion to the case. So with the domestic situation that is bad optics, the commissioner will invoke the commissioner exemplis paid, because it's not thought to be looked at, it is by players because it derails his career. But the commissioner exemplis paid, which means that he can't do anything. He's in limbo. He's frozen in time without any sort of time frame, or he's in timeout without a timer, and the commissioner gets to just put a freeze on him. It's a limbo. It's a purgatory, if you will. And it allows the commissioner to say, look, if we were disciplining him, we wouldn't pay him. So if we were disciplining him, we wouldn't pay him. We're paying him. So he's being disciplined appropriately. So that's the way they're going to look at it. We're supporting him. We're going to pay him. He's on paid leave. But this is if he signs his rookie contract. So given he hasn't signed his rookie contract, Judkins is in a position where, let me put Judkins back up on the screen. Judkins is in a position where he is probably looking at the Browns saying, why not just not sign him? Then we don't have to pay him paidly. So why would they? If you knew that the commissioner was going to say, the moment you sign him, you're paying him, but he can't play for you, why would you sign him? Maybe because you're the Browns. But that's why you got to leave the door open for that. But if you're smart about this, not to mention the Browns, as bad as they are, and then this is not about the fan base, I love the fan base, as bad as they are, the Browns are trying to change their domestic violence image. Whether they're doing a good job with it or not is a whole nother topic, but they're trying. And so the last thing in the world they want to do is commit themselves to this man with the unknowns. So they're going to support him and saying, you take care of this. We'll wait. We're here for you. But who knows how long they do that. I mean, at some point, did they just sign him and then let him go on the commissioner exemplis to protect their draft capital investment? Maybe. But if that happens, he probably goes on the exempt list paid, and he probably waits out the entirety of the season on the exempt list. That's where I would kind of lean right now. If he gets signed and he goes in the exempt list and this whole court thing gets expedited fast, it'll be a 6 to 8 game suspension, and then he comes back at the very end of the year. That's it. Yeah, it's like BBQ said, as much as we trash the Browns organization, not the fan base, we love the fans. This is the Browns are, like BBQ said, handling this the right way. Finally, we're getting the Browns to do the right thing. This is from Matt. Matt, I can't confirm if Matt has any truth to this, but Blue called it a fake article about him. This is why I jumped in here. Like, if it is in fact not true, why do you think? And this is what's so great about this channel, in my opinion, because we hit it with truth. Other people don't. And I tell you, even if it seems biased, because I've got this man on the Moon Man list, if it is in fact, like I said from the jump, tread very carefully on this thing because it smells a little fishy, as did a lot of other things that we've called 100% right on this channel. But as I said from the top of the show, this sounds a little fishy, and it sounds like a lazy take to call him lazy. You know, it sounds really, really lazy. And coming out of Dallas, where there's a lot of this kind of talk constantly, the fan base is very hard on their players. They're like the Niner fan base, really. The Niners make fun of the Cowboys, but they have a very similar fan base. And that they can be so loyal and supportive of their players, but they can also trash them. Dak gets trashed more than any other quarterback. I can, you know, we need to get rid of him. And the other league fan bases trash the Dallas Cowboys so much that it's not shocking that there's stuff being floated out there about players. But I just can't imagine Blue being in a position where he's showing laziness to the degree that's being emphasized here. So as I said from the jump, tread very carefully on this topic and don't let it sour too much, because the pathway for Blue is one of the easiest pathways in the NFL. I'm rooting for Javonte, but I would not bet the farm on Javonte. I just wouldn't. I'm rooting for him. I hope it's true. Just like I wouldn't bet the farm on Bryce Young. I am very much a Bryce Young fan. I am very much rooting for Bryce Young to continue on with his bounce back. I love watching Bryce Young play. He's one of the most exciting players to root for, given the situation that he endured. Him and Shador both, and you can laugh all you want and claim this and that about Shador. These are two players that have gone through it, and they're fun to root for, and you should root for them. But doesn't mean I'm betting the farm on Bryce Young either, though. You know, 1 year bet on your $32 million guaranteed. Spot on analysis, Smitty. 1 year bet on your $32 million guaranteed. Funny how a team that circled the drain for so long has sniff of the playoffs is now dealing with this unforced error. I don't know what the Commanders are doing, bro. They really need to pay him, though. And you know what they could do to help remedy the situation is make it known what the offer is, too. You know, say we're offering him $34 million for, you know, the 2025 season, and then it's team friendly, but we're giving him, you know, if he's a baller, we're keeping him, or you give him a 3-year deal where it's really 2 years on the hook. Like, you're taking a pretty decent but not, you know, devastating cap hit if you moved on from McLaurin after 1 year, but you could move on after 2 years and it'd be very comfortable for the team that's paying him $33 million for each of the years. Guaranteed $45 million up front, $40 million guaranteed, $50 million, whatever, $50 million guaranteed, $40 million guaranteed, but two $34 million deal years that he's going to get. If he plays good ball for 2 years, he gets $34 million in those 2 years before they move on in year 3. That's very simple, and that's not that costly. Maybe he's turned that down. I don't know, but my guess is that the errors have been more on the side of the Commanders than they've been on the side of McLaurin, but there's probably two sides to the story. This poor guy's been... Hold on 1 second, Travis. Just go ahead. Yeah, this poor guy's been on hold for forever. Oh, he hung up a long time ago. All right, go ahead, Travis. Sorry, man. Whoever that was, I'm sorry.
No, you're problem.
I think it was Marsh. Scott, I'm not talking about you. I'm not worried about you sitting on the phone line. I think his name was Marsh or something. I think it was Marsh or I don't know. Sorry, bro. Call back in if you're out there. Go ahead, Travis, and then over to Scared Scott, who sounds petrified today.
I was just going to say, unless Washington is low ball and they want him, you know, like he said, if they're offering him, he wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is the dude deserves to get paid. I think the Commanders want to retain. It doesn't seem, just like Jaden Blue news doesn't seem right to me. And from the start of the stream we said that. I don't know that the Commanders being as at fault as they are seems right to me either, because they've taken such good steps and strides and handled everything in a real amazing fashion. I do wonder if there are a lot of hands in the pot with the ownership and all that. I wonder if there's something, where Peters' hands are tied on something. I mean, I don't really know the inner workings of how that the divide in ownership there is impacting a day-to-day decision. It's hard to know what, but I think Adam Peters probably has full autonomy, I would think. But if not, then that could explain some things. But like why Adam Peters would be neglecting this in the way that we think he might be doesn't make sense or add up to me, because he's an absolute genius when it comes to this. So it's probably two sides to both stories. You know who else can be a big, a thorn in the side of all this is an agent. McLaurin's leaving it up to his agent, but his agent might be an idiot, about this. No offense if he's listening. I doubt he is. But if he is,
we don't know for sure that Adam Peters is great at his contract yet. We assume he could, but this is one of these situations.
True.
See how it plays out, yeah.
True. Maybe he learns a lot from it. He's very smart. He learns a lot from mistakes. He's even said stuff like that. Even his involvement in the Trey Lance situation, he's admitted, like, hey, I learned. I identified Kittle, identified Brock Purdy, I identified all these other players, but I did have a role in the Trey Lance situation, and he's admitted that. He's like, you learn a lot from mistakes, so he's learned. Maybe he is going to learn from this situation, but I do think that maybe there's an agent issue here. Because, sometimes agents are trying to tell their client, look, I'm handling this. I got it handled. I haven't heard from him. And literally, Peters might be saying, like, we sent you a really fair offer. Your agent isn't explaining that to you. You're 30 years old, Scary Terry. I know you think you're different. And all players think they're different. Players think of this symbol, infinity. Like that's me. I'm this guy. At 33 years old, I'm this guy. That's who I am. And that's not the case. So who knows if McLaurin's just, I don't know. All right, Scott, what are you scared about today? You're live.
All right. Here, I'm going to ask what you think. I got two picks coming up here. I can probably grab, like, Jalen Warren or I'm in that group, Warren, Charbonnet, Mason, that kind of thing. And because I need two running backs. I was sitting there thinking, what if Judkins is still there? Can I grab Judkins and Sampson? And
who's Judkins?
Judkins.
Oh, you said Judkins. That's what you said. Why would I have you grab Judkins when we don't even know if he's going to play at all this year? Over Sharbs, over Mason? Hell no, bro. Hell no.
Don't do it. Don't grab Sampson both. And
all right, let me ask you a question.
I'm just taking the guy in front of me. Fucking, he's in his 6th hour.
Let me ask you a question. You would
think about it.
You had gotten really scared yesterday when I told you to take Igbuka. You got really scared and you're like, I could get him later. I don't want to take him early. And I was like, take him now. Take him now. You're like, I'll wait. Did Igbuka get taken? Did you miss Igbuka because you didn't listen to me?
No. Going up. I think he's still there.
Go look.
Yeah, he's there, but he's a ways down. So.
What round are you in?
Oh my God. 10.
10?
But it's a 10-team.
He ain't there.
This is just a 10-team league. So call it mid-8 on a 12-team, something like that.
Just don't wait too long on Igbuka, man. Don't try and push the ADP right to your draft slot. Make sure you're not missing out. This is a dynasty.
Is that I stupidly took a quarterback and a tight end early, which I never freaking did. But there was Mahomey, I had Rice, and when it came back around, I didn't really like anybody around, and Laporta was still sitting there, and I went on and said, oh, hell with it. And I took him. starting lineup's looking great. Mahomey, Gibbs, Hampton, E.J. Brown, Rice, Harrison, and
MHJ.
Rice. I had to use the next 2 rounds to grab wide receivers to cover.
You said MHJ?
Yeah.
And then Mahomes. And, and just so people know, it's a 10-man league, so everybody's team's fine.
I had to take 2 receivers.
Okay, so who's available? List the top 10 running backs available straight down. Don't skip anybody.
Judkins, Warren, Stadabo, Charbonnet, Mason, Dobbins, Harris, Garendo, Stevenson, Spears, Blue.
Okay.
White.
I'm going to say I like Charbonnet, Garendo, or Garendo Charbonnet as the top 2 backs, no question about it. I like Mason a lot, but he's not as valuable long-term and as dynamic as these 2 guys. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. Name the top 10 wide receivers straight down.
West. Downs, Golden, Reed, Hickman, Mooney, Ayuk, Coleman, Ubuka, Higgins, Kirk, Harris.
Egbuka by far. And to be honest with you, I think you waiting is a mistake. I don't care that you're reaching ahead of ADP on Egbuka. Your fear's got to be that your ADP is trash. But hold on. Your ADP that you're looking at is trash, and I think you assuming everyone's going to follow suit with it, and someone's not going to get cute and snag Egbuka is going to be potentially a big no-no for you later. That we're going to come in here and be like, "What in the hell did you do? What in the hell did you do, Scared Scott?"
People reaching for Egbuka. I'm not seeing people really.
Okay, Scott, you do it. You do you. I want you to be honest with me when we have a conversation later. Okay, so if you're going to go running back, go Sharps or Garendo. I like those 2 options. You got Gibbs, you got Hampton. Those are 2 amazing RBs. You got good wide receivers. You got a great wide receivers. A.J. Brown, Rice, MHJ. You got Mahomey. I like this team a lot. You did good. It's a 10-man league. Everybody's got an amazing squad, but I think just make sure you get a Booker later. Don't come crying and scared to me if you miss him. All right? All right. I mean, look, Egbuka in a dynasty startup and in the 8th round is good. That's where he's kind of at because it's a 10-man, but all right, Ron Navy, final thoughts. I'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern.
You come back at 8?
8 p.m. Eastern. Yep. Per usual.
Always.
Always.
The underdog put out the bulldog.
Yeah, and I've been doing the short 6-rounder too. Have you seen that? That's pretty fun. It's a 6-round. We might do those tonight. $10 6 team. No, it's
round. I thought it was 4.
No, I'm talking about No. It's one where it's 6 people in each league instead of 12. Everything else is the same. So it's like Best Ball Mania, essentially. But instead of 12, it's 6.
I mean, the 1,488 total entries for the bulldog. It's $75, but the format is the first round is 12-man groups, right? 12-person group, but 3 get through to the second round, and then that goes down to 6-person groups, which 2 get through to the round, and then in the third round, the top 1 goes into the top 31.
All right.
No.
We'll look into that.
There's only 2 max entries in it, $75, right. But that's a good one to get into. 20 grams of top prize. But
nice.
With only 1,488 people, odds are good.
All right, we'll see you tonight, Ron. Appreciate you. Later.
All right, later, Travis.
Later.
Travis, final thoughts.
Later.
For Duncan in the I thought it might not be a bad idea. if you could give like just like a quick like 30-second rundown of the criteria for Denmark and all that, just because we do have to. So.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Sure.
Sounds good. All right. 8 p.m. See you later. BBQ with a $5 hauler. Very interesting that Blue gets labeled lazy after Denny endorsed him last night. We know Denny was at their camp. Denny's been inviting him over for a cocktail around this time every night, and they've been kind of meandering around, I guess, is what maybe is happening. If Buko is taking 6.10 in a dynasty in my league, I assume dynasty. Do I trade a Dunze for him? Dynasty. PPR. Guys, what would you rather have, a Buka or a Dunze? I would say a Dunze's got more value, fair market value. So I don't know that you would make this trade straight up. I don't think it would be smart of you to make it straight up, because I think a Dunze is going to cost more on the open market. So you probably want to get a +1. So Buka plus something for a Dunze if you were trading a Dunze away. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't quietly love Ibuka as much more. I like Adunze a lot. I hate his situation, but I love Adunze. If Adunze had gone to a different team, he could have had a BTJ season and career. He really could have. And he still might, but I would love to know what you guys think in terms of this overall. I would just try and get more here. I just think you can command it. Adunze's got tons of value right now. Tons of value. I will see you all in a little bit. Don't forget to get on over to my Patreon, which is a live chat 24/7, 365. We literally just chat on there all day. Get trade advice, talk football, talk movies, talk whatever. It's just a great place. Anybody's bored in their day and bored at work and wants a community to talk to 365 days a year, that's what we do on there. It's fantastic. I'm live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. That is the show that's upcoming in about 2 hours. So exactly 2 hours from now, the 8 p.m. show. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. That show's in 2 hours. I'm additionally live whenever big news breaks, like this show right here that you're watching. And then I'm also additionally live most every single midnight Eastern, almost every single night, as we draft or have good conversation about some sort of breaking news or value. I will see you all in 2 hours on the 8 p.m. show. Do it live. Green, are you out there, Green? Green says, can you please rank these? I've had this up here for like 2 days just to make sure you saw it, Green. Green, are you there? Green, attention, Green. Can you please rank these guys? In Dynasty, redraft is very similar, but I would say Garrett Wilson, MHJ, Rice, JSN, DK Metcalf. If it's redraft, I could put JSN above Rice because of the suspension, the likely suspension. But I still have Rice over DK in redraft. But I think Rice could be 2 or 3. Wilson's 1 no matter what. Greeny, where are you, Greeny? I'll see you all in 2 hours right here on the 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday show. Chill says, before you leave, just want to say, Smitty, you're the GOAT and keep up the great work. Thank you, Chill. Appreciate you. Space Ricky. Space Ricky says, Igbuka, appreciate you, Space Ricky, all you do. Igbuka is taking over soon. Adunze, not so much, says Space Ricky. Thank you, Travis. Travis always modding. And honestly, when Travis was gone, and he kind of had gone missing a couple times, rightfully, Travis needs to go on. We need to send Travis on a vacation sometime. But when he was gone, I think people realized how much they appreciate Travis when he was gone. Like, not that they didn't appreciate him when he was here without any sort of hiatus, but when he was on a little bit of a hiatus, I think everybody's like, damn, didn't really realize how helpful he was in the chat, how selfless he was, and he is like a lightning rod taking lightning strikes by haters constantly because he's putting people in timeout that are making stupid, ridiculous statements and getting labeled as a person that's like constantly, laying down the law. Like all he's doing is keeping peace. So appreciate Travis. Lightning Rod Travis. Do we call Travis the Lightning Rod? And then eventually it gets kind of shortened, and then all of a sudden we're calling him the Rod. Everybody drop a lightning bolt for Travis. That's the new Travis emoji. The lightning bolt, lightning rod. The rod. Maybe we'll have a. We've always said we need an emoji for Travis. Maybe Travis is just the lightning bolt emoji, but maybe we have a button we press when the lightning rod's raining down thunder and lightning on a situation. Like when we mean business and discipline, you hit the rod and this lightning thunder. Drop a rod, drop a lightning bolt. Do it live. See you all at 8 p.m.